Okay, we're getting to pretty close to the end of our markdown series, and with any luck, this will be the very last video in which I want to talk about two topics, but both of them quite brief. The first one, I want to mention how do you go about inserting equations. Not because if you're taking my psychology classes, you're likely to insert a lot of equations, but if you do get forced to do so, so say you're a neuroscience student and you end up having to work with, say, the Rescorla-Wagner model, and you need to put in the equations for the model, there's a special set of rules about equations that are worth very, very briefly going through. So the main thing is dollars. Anything inside a pair of dollar signs is kind of treated as inline maths. That means that it's maths inside the sentence. Anything in where it's enclosed by $2 signs on either side becomes an equation that has its own line of text. And super important for this, white space matters. So this dollar x dollar will be interpreted as maths. But this $x space dollar will not be interpreted in maths. And for those of you who know it, the equations are going to be rendered using LaTeX, which is now a completely different system to R. It's a completely different system to YAML. It's a completely different system to Markdown. It's got its own separate special rules. I am not going to talk much about LaTeX at all in this video, but I am going to at least show you the bare minimum of how to create LaTeX equations inside your R Markdown document. So the way that you would do it is something like this. So say I wanted to write x squared. So the kind of up arrow is the way that you indicate superscript in LaTeX. So this there should turn into x squared. And because it's surrounded by $1 sign on either side, that will stay in the same sentence. Whereas here we've got a standalone equation because it's surrounded by $2 signs on either side, and here we've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which you may remember from high school maths. So when we knit our document, you get something like that, and so you can see that the formatting here is different. Math mode usually invokes or creates different fonts, and these now look like the sorts of equations you see in journal articles and things like that. So we can have a bit of a go at that ourselves. Let's just sort of convince ourselves that it actually does work the way that we think. So let's just go over there. So we'll go this x raised to the power of 3. Well, that's not going to do anything. Is inline. And I'm not even going to bother with the text there, but go a squared plus b squared equals 10. Just because I feel like it, I'm going to click save. Conveniently, this actually gives us a nice little preview inside the document. So I quite like that, but if you don't like it, you can kind of make it go away. Okay, so I click knit, and out comes you can see, you very briefly saw it rendering on the fly there, but there you go, there's our equations. Okay, so that did kind of what we thought. To give you a little bit of a sense of the way that this tends to get used in scientific contexts, I'll go back to my slides, and I'm not going to go and do this myself, I'll just jump ahead to show you things like this. So if I wanted to implement the Rescorla-Wagner model, I would write stuff like this. So the formula for the associative strength V, if you're psychology students, you're already bored of hearing about the Rescorla-Wagner model, I know, but the associative strength at time t plus 1 is equal to the associative strength at time v plus some delta v, where blah, blah, blah. And you can see we've got things in here that look like Greek letters, like /alpha, /beta, and so on. So there's a whole set of rules that LaTeX equations follow, and it'll produce fancy pants looking output like that. Um, but that's a lesson for another time. All I really wanted to do was call attention to the fact that you can make nice things. You can have it have integrals, or you can have it do whatever scary maths you want to use to intimidate your friends. In the meantime, the thing that I actually really think you need to be clear on is this point that I made earlier about how generally dollar signs will be interpreted as dollar signs. So if I go dollar, it will be interpreted as text. $10 is still text. $10 and $20 are text. That's still treated as text. You get the idea. It's only in the special case where there are no spaces on either side that our markdown goes, oh, that must be an equation. Okay, so that's it. That's everything I wanted to say about equations. The rest of it, LaTeX is a subject for another time. I just wanted to give you the bare minimum of what to do with that. The final thing I wanted to bring up before I quit is how to publish your documents. So one thing that you often might want to do is share your document with somebody else. Otherwise, what's the point? And there are two possible options. So you could do things like just save the output files and upload them to your favorite backup service like Dropbox, or maybe you know how to use the Open Science Foundation system. So OSF is a nice way of storing things. If you're really fancy, you can save things on Github. That's something that is a topic for another day. GitHub's trickier than the others. But just generally what you would do is kind of go, okay, I can go, if I just wanted to, let's say, I think I have to go things like this. Yes, if I go export, we'll go export selected files or folders. Okay, so let's just go over here, select everything. I'm going to go export, and the selected files will be downloaded to your computer. Please specify a name. Fine, that's fine. I'm going to save it. I will save this to my desktop, RStudio export.zip, and so what I'll do is I'll bring up my desktop, and you can see that it's created that file, the little zip archive. So I'll just extract here is the laziest way to do it. Sorry, I'm on Linux, so it's not, my machine doesn't look quite the same as everyone else's, but it'll use whatever normal thing you do on Windows or Mac to do that. But there you go, all of your files are in there. So now you can just email your PDF or do whatever you normally like. You've got it on your computer. So that's method one, right? Download the files and then do whatever you normally do to share or publish those files. There's a second possibility I want to mention to you. So because sometimes this is really helpful. So if I go knit, bring this document up again, and if we go look over here in RStudio, there's up on the top right over here, there's a little publish button. So if I click on that, it's going to go publishing. Ooh, okay. We get another one of these little windows that says we're going to require updated versions of these packages. So I'll say yes. And now I'm going to wait for a moment because it'll probably take a little bit of time to do what I want. I'm just going to change the window size. So this is just like at the beginning where there's a bit of a lag before it actually does anything, and that's basically because I'm doing this stuff over the internet. And here we go. So now you can kind of see on the top in the thing there, it's installing a bunch of stuff that I need. Okay, now we're ready to go. So you can see that there are two options here. RStudio Connect is a paid product that we can't really use if you're on free service, but RPubs is a lot easier, so I can just click publish. and uploading document to RPubs. You get to this point if you want to like sign up for an account, you can do that and then click into which I don't even think I have an RPubs account, so I suppose I better quickly create one, shouldn't I? Danielle Navarro. I will use my, I don't know, I guess I'll use my university address. D Navarro, UNSW. DJ, actually I better. Danielle Navarro 77. I've used that username sometimes. Password. Actually, this here is just my fancy little add-in that says use suggested password. I could do that, but then I'd be revealing you my password, so I won't. I'll do something else. And that would be saving on my thing. I'm not going to bother. Register now. Oh, email has already been taken. That almost certainly means that I actually do have an account. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to cheat and use one of my different emails. Because I actually did want to show the sign up process, right? And then we'll go come up with a password. We can do register now, and please do it. Okay, it's taking a little bit of time. There we go. So step 2, we've got so it's my document. I don't know. My document. It has things, and it can. So it'll be stored. This is where it'll be published at rpubs.com/Danielle Navarro 77. My doc is all I'm going to call it. I realize that's not a very interesting name. But this is now online on the internet, and so you can go and check out this really exciting, fascinating document that I've just created called, but that is at a minimum sufficient to get documents up on the internet for you to use. That's the main thing I wanted to get across. So that's more or less it for this series. If you do want to learn more about R Markdown, I can thoroughly recommend R Markdown, the Definitive Guide by Iwe and others. This book is extremely long. I'll even click on the link and there you go. Here's the book. It's freely available online. You can read through all this stuff if you feel like it, but it's a great source of information for learning more stuff about R Markdown. But that's it. That's everything I wanted to say. I hope that this has been a useful introduction, a way of getting you started as gently as possible. And I will leave it at that.